Okay, so here goes the thing.
Did you remember you were concussed?
I was concussed. You now have damaged their defense. Whereas if you take someone down, you have damaged their offense.
That was tremendous.
First game, you're
That
playing like Grand Theft Auto. When's it my turn? When's it my turn?
Yeah.
You know? And like this was Will's turn. He was playing. He had the controller the whole game, and I was like, "This is bullshit, dude. Like, give me the sticks."
Hey man, get used to it because he's a striker.
No, he's not, dude. Because welcome to this week's episode of Listen to Your Coaches. I am your coach, Mike Wilkins, here with Coach Will Morrill. This week, we're going to break down what happened at UFC 308, give you our thoughts and opinions. We're going to talk 247 Fighting Championships, specifically a lean towards the stout PGH fighters, and then we're going to finish it up by previewing this upcoming week's UFC Fight Night. So let's jump into it. Will, where did you start at on the card for UFC 308? Did you go bottom to top, or did you miss a couple?
More or less, but I wasn't really paying attention. My parents were popping over to like drop some stuff off. You know what I mean? I had it in the background. But the first one that I really paid attention to, at least somewhat, was Basharat against Victor Hugo. Right? Okay. That was the one that I previewed last time.
That was your prelim, your choice of prelim. We each took a choice of prelim. You took
exactly.
That one.
So, in my mind, that they had put Basharat in a position where he's fighting a guy who's really aggressive, lots of experience, and they wanted to see him like smoke this dude and really show that he was the next level. And from what I understand, I think Victor Hugo missed weight by like 10 pounds or something.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he missed weight by like a lot. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure.
That's wild.
But either way, Basharat didn't like put him away, and he looked good but not great. So the question is Victor Hugo more skilled than we thought? You know what I mean? He's got lots of his experiences from outside of the UFC, so it's hard to tell like what that level of competition is. Whereas Basharat not as good as I was thinking.
Or did the 10 pounds make a big difference? If
that too.
I mean, that's a whole weight class. That's at featherweight. That means he weighed in at the lightweight limit.
I think it might have been. Again, maybe I'm off on that. I probably should have looked that up before we started. But either way, I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, now the UFC is going to put Basharat in probably another similar position where he's fighting another unranked guy who's pretty good, and they just want to see what to do with him, because I think that they view him as a future star, him and his brother. So. I think we just left with more questions than we have answers. So overall, though, he looked good. He mixed his takedowns and his striking pretty well. That's more or less all I got about it.
Hey, there you go. So let's jump to the next bout. Kennedy versus Chris Barnett.
Dude.
So Chris Barnett injured himself on his intro. We've seen that happen before.
We have.
Brian Ortega, right? Yeah, jumped and rolled his ankle.
Oh, that's right. That's not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of actually when Johnny Walker hurt himself after the fight.
Oh,
doing the worm.
Celebration. Yeah, Brian Ortega rolled his ankle in a fight. But Chris Barnett, the one thing
is he Spanish?
That's what I was about to say. I was literally about to say that. I was like, dude, he's from Spain? I was like, I thought for sure he was American.
I'm 99.9% sure he's American. If I had to guess, I'd say either A. We're looking right now at the UFC, like the results card.
On the UFC website. And
it has Beast Boy Barnett as Spanish. I would guess either one of two things happened. One, just, some intern was in there clicking away at what nationality to put for everyone and clicked Spain accidentally. Or Beast Boy Barnett, knowing that Topuria was bringing the Spanish fans, just said he was Spanish. Just like as a goof, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Because I remember like Mayhem, when it says like fighting style and usually it'll say like wrestler or whatever, he put like slap boxer or something like that. You know what I mean? So I don't know if he has control over that. Either way, neither here nor there. Isn't that our thing that we say now?
Oh, neither here nor there.
Yeah. I don't think he's Spanish, but unfortunately he got hurt. He was coming off a long injury layoff anyways. I think he'd ruptured his Achilles or something like that. And I was so bummed. Barnett is just like a fun fighter to watch. He's 5'8". He's a heavyweight. He dances. He does weird spinny stuff. He's surprisingly good given how like little he is. So he got beat up pretty easily.
Didn't watch the fight. Still not in yet.
Yeah, you didn't miss a whole lot there. We're gonna skip over this next one,
which would have been Abbas Magomedov versus Bruno Ferreira.
I don't know.
Ferreira.
So this was the fight that I think you showed up
I did. I caught the end of round 2 and all of round 3.
So this one, all right, this one's goofy. So this Polish dude, Mateusz, I believe they were saying his name, Rebecki or something like that. It's spelled Rebecki, but you never know. I'll say Rebecki because I assume that they have better notes, the announcers do.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then this dude, we're just going to go with oral by because this guy's from Kyrgyzstan and his name, dude, I mean, there's a lot of consonants in there.
Dude, bro, his name is crazy. Let me spell it for you. Myktybek.
Miktebek?
Miktybek.
I don't know. It's a cool looking name.
Miktybek. It's cool. I like it.
I'm not going to say it a whole bunch.
Whatever, but this was fight of the night.
So yeah, so Mike shows up to my house, right? And I'm like, dude, you got here just in time. Round 2 of this wild fight. And it was a close back and forth banger. Super, super fun. Not like too much else to say about it other than that. If you guys didn't
they were
see
just
it,
going
watch it
crazy.
back.
Oh, they were both short, thick boys. Because this was, it was a catchweight bout.
Yeah, I think it was 65.
Okay.
It was
Fair.
either 60 or 65, something like that.
I think on the screen during the show, it said lightweight. And I was like, yo, these dudes are thick.
Yeah.
I was like, they must be short.
Also, I think
They're
that
probably still short.
I think that when we watch it on the big screen like that, it the people look different. They look bigger,
Will has, well, do you know how big your screen is?
I don't know. It's probably like 12 feet or something.
Yeah, like a 12-foot screen that, we get to project the fights upon. Enjoyable.
Good time. But in the middle of this fight, you were like, dude, this is going to be fight of the night. But obviously there's so many stars, like they probably won't get it. But it should be fight of the night. And here it is. They got it. So
that's back-to-back cards where I called the fight of the night.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That's...
And you know what's crazy? This isn't even close to the best call you made.
No, it's not close to the best call I made.
We'll get there. All right, next up we have...
This was my prelim of the night, which I was under the impression was the feature prelim.
I think it was something must have happened here. I don't know if something dropped off or they were just like running ahead of schedule. I don't know what happened, but I was sure that this was the last prelim. But Jeff Neal and Rafael dos Anjos.
Unfortunate, knee injury to Rafael dos Anjos.
Jeff Neal was winning, I think.
Yeah,
but
Jeff Neal was the favorite. He was my pre-fight pick as well. Remember, I was going to parlay Jeff Neal with your boy. What was your boy's name?
Bacherat.
I did not get that parlay in, but I did run Jeff Neal straight. Ran out of -310, so got like $3, $3.26 off him on a $10 bet. My unit right now is $10 for MMA because I have been performing rather poorly. Betting on MMA.
Yeah, I'm not good at betting MMA, but
But my unit now, like I feel like now that we are more into like recapping and previewing, I'm picking better.
Let's run it.
Because instead of just picking like dudes like oh, he trains with this guy who I met over here. Right? No, I want him to win.
Yeah.
Right? Like instead of picking like that, I'm more
putting it out in the universe.
Yeah, picking it. Yeah.
So then we had the actual featured prelim. How do you say this dude's name? Ibo?
Oslin.
Ibo Oslin and Rafael Conquera?
Whatever, these dudes came in. They were supposed to crack. One of them was like 11-0, right? With 8 knockouts.
Yeah, I think that was
the one who lost. That was and the other one was like 14-1.
Yeah.
Light heavyweights.
Banger of a fight. They're unranked. I've never heard of these dudes, but it was still
quick
cool.
Fight, yeah. 51 seconds.
But I mean, honestly, they both looked like athletic and like actually big enough for the weight class. So like maybe these guys, maybe we'll see Aslan, coming up in the rankings one of these days. So let's get into the
main card. The pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. First one,
the Bullet.
Shara Magomedov, the Bullet against Armen Petrosyan. I think we both thought that Magomedov was going to win.
Yeah, I had picked him pre-fight to win. During the fight, I was like pretty impressed with Petrosyan.
Yeah, he looked good. I think they had a stat that I think he landed second most low kicks in middleweight history or something like that.
Yeah, something along those lines, and he was certainly adding to that total in this fight. It was really competitive, though. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the fight was finished in round 2, and like, round 1 was like Like, I don't know how.
Very back and forth, yeah.
So it's like, whatever. But this fight finished. If you haven't seen it, the double back fist.
Yeah. So he imagine fainting with his lead leg, so his left leg, then stepping through, going right back fist, turning back the other direction, left back fist, and that second one is the one that caught him and put him out. I think it's one of 11 back fist knockouts in UFC history, and it's got to be the first double one, right?
Got to be.
Yeah. So very impressive. They showed film of him training that. You know what I mean? Which,
yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Here goes the thing, like, you know what I mean? They're like, can you believe he trained that before? Like, yeah, I can.
So here's why I think this
we
one's
talked
more
about
impressive.
this.
Yeah, I know.
But we talked about this on one of our podcasts back whenever we used to do podcasts about just like
Right, training and stuff.
Yeah, where it's like, they show Connor like hitting the combination he dropped Aldo with, or like, they show like stuff. Oh, I think it was after Lucas flying kneed Jake Zach.
We talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like, we practiced it. It's like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, of course you
practice.
practice.
Make something up the first time in a fight. Like, yeah, most of the shit you're doing in a fight, you've practiced.
So that one, I think, okay, there's like degrees of how cool it is. Okay, so the first level, which I think is what you and I are really talking about, is like, they show footage of dudes either shadow boxing or cracking pads or something, and like hitting like basic stuff, like 1-2 pull 2, or like jab slip jab 2, or even just like a 1-2 pull back, like literally anything that's like kind of basic. Like, of course you're gonna get a million reps of that, and if you're in the UFC, someone's gonna have a video of you doing that. So if you knock someone out with that, like, clearly you're gonna be able to find some film and be like, yo, we trained this, like, obviously. Then you have kind of the next level, which I think like Lucas is in, where it's like, it's really in that, that flying knee that, led to the finish, where it's like that fight in particular, I was sure he was going to land it in that context and have it like land big. You know what I mean? And that is kind of impressive because we did do a lot of work on that. It's obviously we trained it, you know what I mean? It's not as impressive as some people might think. And then I think that...
I don't understand why that makes it less impressive because you trained it. Why? Because it wasn't improv? Is it like rap? Like where like a freestyle is like a little more impressive than like a written verse, right?
Maybe I never thought of it like that.
But it's like, why is it more impressive, right? Like someone put time and effort and planning into it, like scouting and understanding tendencies. Like there was so much more into it other than just being like off the cuff, like
right. I just did it. I think it's because it's an exotic technique. I think that's why it feels impressive because it's like, I think what I was talking about is like, yeah, if you practice a 1-2, like obviously there's gonna be footage of you hitting that. If there's a weird exotic technique, it just adds a little rarity to it. You know what I mean? So maybe it's a step cooler. And actually that explains perfectly why the bullets was so impressive because like, dude, I can't imagine practicing that on pads with like our guys. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have someone do that. Maybe we should start. But
maybe.
So I do think that is kind of cool. They had video of him doing that. But either way, he got performance of the night for it. Big win. What do you think's next for him? Because like...
Another fight over there. He can't fight in the States.
Dude, you know what? We should have pulled up earlier, and I think I can still get it. But let's take a look at the rankings real quick, because like he's not ranked, right?
No.
So
give me back my bullet.
Do you think he's ready for a ranked fight?
He's a middleweight.
Yeah.
Over here, yeah, for sure he's ready for a ranked fight. He could fight Chris Curtis, Chris the Action. Dude, give him Michelle Pereira.
Yes, dude, that's a great one.
Get him out of the rankings.
Pereira?
Yeah, dude.
That's a good one.
Give the bullet to him. Get him out of the rankings.
Dude, also, you know what else I think would be good? Delidze. I don't think he's ready for Delidze.
No. I want him to fight Michelle Pereira. Because, like, think about all the weird shit Michelle Pereira's going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Who do we root for in that one?
The bullet.
Yeah, I agree. I do not like Pereira. Chris Curtis also isn't a bad choice for him. I think those are probably... Yeah, you're right.
I like Chris Curtis, though.
I do, too. I would root for him in that. Yeah, Pereira's probably the move.
For Chris Curtis, for sure on that.
Yeah, I think that's the move, then.
I would like to see that fight. Yeah, so...
All right. That's the LTYC
Mick
pick.
Maynard.
You got anything to say about that fight?
No, I'm done. Let's get to the best... The most important fight of the night.
Okay, so
the most important fight of the night. If you guys listen to the preview, you will remember that I was big on Dan Ige, and I said I'm going Dan Ige. He was running at a plus 210.
Yep.
Right. That means I was gonna double my money.
And I think this was one of the few fights where you and I disagreed on who we thought would win.
We did. We disagreed on who we thought would win.
But I did say I was like, yo, if like at plus 2, whatever he was, to
take
anything,
a flyer on it. Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's
plus
a great.
for those of you who maybe don't gamble, for example, like when you think about like, oh, I bet you $20 Dan Ige wins. Well, then you're expecting like I'm risking 20 to get Will to give me 20 in return, right? Mm-hmm. This is a plus 210, meaning that if I am betting $20, I'm receiving a $42 return, $42 profit on top of my 20, right? So yeah, dude, I put my money where my mouth was, and I put it on Dan Ige, and man, did he come out hot.
So
he came out hot, and he won the first round big.
So at the end of the first round, I'm like, dude, doing well. Like, you know, what do these live odds look like? We get into the second round.
So hop on live odds.
Well, also, hold on. We should talk about what he did. I think he
he
dropped Murphy in the first round, right?
Did he, or did he just take him down and like whoop him up from top control?
I thought he dropped him.
He may have dropped him. Whatever.
Either way, he
was. See, here goes. Okay, I'm not saying that he didn't drop him. I'm saying, why do I think it was a takedown? Because if he dropped him, I wouldn't have been so. He must have dropped him. He must have dropped him. That's the only reason I would have played the game the way I played it.
I think he did.
He must have dropped him.
Dude, I wonder if this makes the pod better or worse that you and I can't remember half of the details and don't have notes on
okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. We can't remember half the details. Let's talk about how whenever we break down or we talk about the upcoming fight night that will be happening this weekend, November the 2nd, Saturday, November the 2nd, how we haven't even looked at the card yet and why that's cool. Here goes why that's cool and why you guys should like it. You're in the conversation. You're getting exactly what we think as we think it. Mm-hmm. You're not getting the information we wrote down and was like, oh, we should say this, we should say that.
Right. This is
you're in the room with us right now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know who's fighting this Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? So you're going to find out with me, and you're going to get my actual reaction as if you're in this room with us.
The other thing is that, like, how many fights did we watch on Saturday?
Dude, a lot of fights. A lot of fights Saturday.
Anyways, let's not get too far away from it because this is super cool. All right, so Ige's killing it first round, right?
He must have dropped him. It had to be a drop because if he would have took him down, I wouldn't have done this.
Right. So second round started, and I'm like, dude, Murphy's looking.
Hold on.
Okay.
We're not there yet. Okay. Right. So second round starts, right?
Oh yeah. My bad.
And like when I go into the live odds, right? I'm like, yo, Murphy's now a +2 something or whatever. Okay. And I'm like, man, how those odds have swung. And
you were like, dude, look, I could cash out.
I could cash out on Dan Ige right now, and I would get all my money back plus a profit, a 50% return on investment profit, right? So I cash it out, and I take that, and I put it on Murphy at a +2, like 250.
Because Murphy started looking kind of good in the second round. I was like, oh, he's like not wobbled. He's looking all right. He's looking pretty sharp. And then Murphy goes on to point him out for the next 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So Mike won. Both on betting on Ige and Murphy, both as dogs.
Ige. Both as dogs, both as big time dogs. And I was like, and I think that's why I'm leaning towards it was a knockdown, because I think if Dan Ige would have taken him down in the first and controlled him, I'd be like, that's going to be replicated again in at least one of the next 2 rounds, right? But a drop, I probably wasn't as confident in being replicated. But if you do remember, Dan Ige did win the first half of the third round.
I don't remember that, but that's right. Yeah, because we were dude.
Even at the end of the fight, we were like, "Was that enough?"
Right.
And because like he was like had him clinched.
That's right. And we were like waiting. We were celebrating so hard.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not super into gambling, right? And but this had me fired up. I was like, "Yo, I really hope Mike gets that like $2 or whatever it was." Dude. I was so amped up. But dude, the fact that you won money on both of them in the same fight, and you got both of them as dogs. Tremendous. That was a highlight of the night for me.
Sure was.
Afternoon, I should say. Oh, man. So, yeah, that was a fun one. Murphy looked good. He obviously needs to just, stay a little more disciplined in the beginning.
Here goes the thing. Like, Murphy looked good, and he's definitely an up-and-coming prospect and stuff. As we pull up the rankings, we'll see that Murphy came into the fight ranked, what was he ranked? 12th, right? And Dan Ige was 14th. So that's a 12 versus 14. Now, here goes what we do know. Is Dan Ige now has back-to-back fights in which he has lost, but has come out, I would say,
looking good.
Looking good.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like moving up off of losses, kind of. Right. Because his most recent loss was Diego Lopez, and that was on hours of notice.
Yeah. At what, like 160 or something?
It was at 165, I believe. Because, like, you figure, like, dude, he took the fight on fight night, like, at, like, in the afternoon.
Right.
And
Yeah.
they're like, all
Yeah.
right, how much do you weigh? And he's like, 165. And they're like, all right, well, that's what the fight has to be at because we got to go now. Yeah. So Dan Ige, stock up. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Stock up. Stock up on Dan Ige. 2 fights in a row off of losses. Who should Dan Ige fight next? And it's got to be...
Dude, I like this. Giga Chikadze. Isn't he out for something? Isn't he hurt or something?
I don't
that?
know.
But
I
that's
would
a
like
fun
to see
fight.
Dan Ige versus Calvin Kattar.
That's another great fight. Cater, Chikadze, I think those are both good fights.
Unless you run Laurent Murphy versus Calvin Kattar. Didn't Josh Emmett just... I think Josh Emmett just got...
He just lost, I believe.
But two.
Let's find out.
I think he just got booked. Was it 2? No, he won.
Oh, that's right. He knocked out
Bryce Mitchell.
Bryce Mitchell badly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, that's...
I'm surprised Josh Emmett is ranked so low. Because
That's strange. Why isn't he above Allen at least?
that fight, well, Allen's pretty good too. Arnold Allen. I don't know.
Take it just... Also, keep in mind, this is Monday. These haven't been updated yet.
Yeah, but the only thing that happened in this division
That's a
was
good point.
Ige, Murphy, and then the
Right.
title fight.
And Ortega's loss was like weeks ago or whatever, so that would have been...
Yeah, that was at Noche against Diego Lopez, which that's already reflected in the rankings.
Dude, I think that Murphy against Giga, Cater...
I know Aljo is fighting Evelev.
Dude, there's a lot of interesting fights here, actually.
Featherweight's fun division.
It's fun, but dude, I still don't think... Well, we can get to that. But
Let's go back. Go
yeah,
back.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, whatever. So I became an all-time betting goat during that fight. All right, Ankalaev versus Ratchik. So we got to talk corners. We got to talk corners in this fight. How about Ratchik?
I think it's Rakic.
Rakic. Whatever,
saying,
dude.
yeah.
Rakic. Man, dude. How about his corner telling him he was up 2-0 going into the third
Foolish.
when he was either tied 1-1 or down 2-0?
Yeah. That's ridiculous. And the way I look at it, I think we talked about this at the moment too, is like there's not a ton of downside to telling your guy like, hey, I think you're down. Or at the very least, like if I was in Rakic's corner, I would have been like, hey man, I might think that it's 1-1. I might even think it's 2-0, but it could be 0-2. You know what I mean? Like, we need to finish this round. Because it doesn't hurt to say that. You know what I mean? Like, worst case, your guy gets a little, like, overextended, does something a little dumb.
Yeah.
But, like, also, you might need it. You know what I mean? There's no positive to saying you're winning. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why they said that.
Do me a favor and scroll down. Mm-hmm. Keep going all the way to the bottom. Wow. That's crazy. So, typically on a fight card, there's an A side and a B side. The A side, which would walk out second, usually, when listed on a fight card, the way that you read it, you'll read the A side's name first versus the B side's name. Mm-hmm. And if you scroll up and down this card, the A side won every fight except for one.
Right there, right?
No.
He was a...
Do you see the win? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I see.
The betting odds don't matter.
Gotcha.
It's like...
It's what the promotion is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. So like A side, A side, A side, A side.
Yeah.
See where the win is? Now get up all the way up to boom.
Oh, wow.
Right? Now here goes what stood out to me. I thought because all the winners were on the left on the sheet that we're looking at, I thought that they just put the winners on the left until we got to one where we now have a winner on the right.
Interesting. Well, either way, Rikic's corner, kind of dumb. I don't think that was the right call for them to say that. I think that he was, again, I think you're right. I think it was either 1-1 or 2-0, Ankalaev. Ankalaev looked really good. He does what he does. He was striking, pretty basic, but like...
I have some questions
pretty sharp.
for you.
Yeah.
So, first off, there's something that happened on this card that we forgot to talk about. And I'm going to ask you if you remember that after we finish this fight. But after watching Ankalaev's performance, are you more excited about a matchup between him and Alex than you were before the fight?
Yeah.
You're more excited now.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm less excited now.
See, I think I was like, oh man, he might shoot on Alex. And I think this kind of showed me, because like Rakic is a dangerous striker and he was the one who shot. You know what I mean? I think Ankalaev legit means it when he says, I'm not shooting. You know what I mean? And also, I think that
So that makes you more interested in it, the fact that he's not going to shoot.
That I think that, and also,
that's the exact thing that makes me less interested in it. If he was going to shoot, I'd be more interested.
Oh, see, yeah. No, it's interesting in different ways.
Because I just don't think. I think now he's just going to get.
Well, that's the other thing
smoked.
too. Is watching this, I'm like, if he stands with Alex, he's getting smoked.
Yeah.
Because his striking didn't look as good as I thought it should. I thought they both made they had some issues. So Rakic, it was an open stance fight. Rakic threw his right kick a lot early, and it was doing well.
Now, was open stance fight for sure? Was Ankalaev the
Southpaw?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. When's the last time we saw Alex fight a southpaw? Was it just Jamal Hill? Was that the last southpaw?
That's got to be the last southpaw, right? Jiri switches, but like
no. Khalil was a southpaw. Khalil was a southpaw.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, he was a southpaw. For some reason, I was thinking he was orthodox, but it's actually that fight that brought that up to me because they were saying how there's a slight hesitation against the southpaw for Alex to like get his timing against the southpaw. Like he doesn't get it as quickly as he does against an orthodox fighter.
It's weird that they say that when he knocked out, Jamal Hill like that. But
yeah, I don't. Okay.
Either way, yeah.
Neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. But yeah, Rakic was landing that right kick early and often, and Ankalaev did nothing to defend it. He didn't really counter it well. He didn't really like block it super well. Dude, if I was in Rakic's corner, I would be like, fire that right kick all the time, because guess what happens when you're throwing that kick? Ankalaev's not landing his left hand, and that's like what he landed the most of, is just like boom, nice straight lefts down the middle, and so he got away from it. And also Ankalaev early, if I was in his corner, I'd be like, dude, like you have to either catch one of those or step in heavy and land a left hand on it, like step in deep enough to where you're not like in the range of fire there still. Or like swing your body out of the way. You got to do something to give him a reason to stop throwing it. But just arm blocking it and standing there doesn't do anything. No. So Rakic should have stayed on that. Ankalaev, I would have liked to see a little more action out of him. I also wouldn't have minded seeing some kicks of his own. Overall, not like the most impressive fight that I've seen. And I think that if Ankalaev doesn't shoot on Alex, he gets smoked.
I do too.
Do you think that they do that next, or do you think that they let Alex go up?
I think they let Alex go up if that's really a thing that's actually in consideration and not just like fan talk. Because I'm just like, I just have limited interest in that fight, and if I have limited interest in it,
then the UFC knows that as well.
Yeah, the UFC knows that as well.
I agree. Now here's the question: if they do let Alex do that, is it going to be after, or I mean, it has to be after Jones and Stipe fight?
Yeah, it'll probably be, what did I hear Chael say? There's a card in January that the UFC wants to make really big. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that would make it really big. Aspinall versus Poatan. And Aspinall and Poatan both turn around a lot quicker than Jones and Miocic. So them having like a little more of a break, being able to fight November 16th. Mm-hmm. So they'll have like a 2-month extra break on that matchup. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying it's going to be like
if you tournament format it.
Right,
yeah. Yeah, if you tournament format it, well then the winner of Jones Miocic will be done in November.
Right.
Whereas the Aspinall...
Now what if Jones retires?
He's not going to retire.
Interesting.
He can beat both those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he can beat anyone. I just don't know how long he's got left. Yeah. That's interesting.
Well, here goes something else I want to talk about. So we were watching this card together, and like I was about to say something, and you said it.
That was during the last fight, though. You want to say it?
It was during the last fight. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. I was like, no, there's no way it was during the title fight.
Yeah.
Like that's why I was like, oh, we're on Whitaker Chimaev. I was like, it definitely had to happen before it.
No.
Okay, it was?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Because like I can't remember. And I was like, oh, and we're like, oh, write it down. And we're like, oh, we'll remember.
Oh, I remember exactly what it was.
Oh, I'm glad you. Okay, so good. We do remember that.
This is
I
crazy.
don't remember it all.
I can't believe I remember and you don't. That's so unlike us.
Yeah,
Which,
dude,
by the way, watch
I
the
hit
fights
my
together.
Head right after it. Remember?
No, right before. Dude, that was during the betting. Remember? You were all fired up.
I got a concussion.
Okay, hold on. First of all,
I hit my head really badly.
First of all,
I'm safe. I had good. How's your homeowner's insurance looking?
We'll find out.
I'm about to check it. About to check it, brother. We're about to have a claim.
First of all, watching fights together, super fun. We don't get to do that
way
very
more
often.
fun. Way more fun.
And also,
next pay-per-view, I'm just gonna sleep over.
so dude, for sure, dude, that'd be a great time.
Yeah.
We'll sleep on the couch together.
Downstairs. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
So,
I get the one blanket that I had.
oh yeah,
during
for
these
sure.
fights. Will's house is freezing cold. It's not comfortable, except for this room.
This room is so hot. Well, this has a separate. This is on the boiler system, and the other side of the house has the furnace. It doesn't matter, but
Neither here nor there.
neither here nor there. Anyways, Uncle Ed Rakic, kind of boring.
We're done with it. I'm over that.
I was about to say we're done with that. We're moving on.
Yeah, we're on Whitaker versus
Chimaev.
Holy shit.
So listen, I know that Chimaev's listening to this right now, so I have to issue an apology.
You better.
I said you weren't the real deal. I said that, you're a top 5 gatekeeper, which is still the real deal, but also
Yeah.
but I was like, he's not going to beat like the top guys.
No, dude, you're a top 5 gatekeeper. I'd be like, dude, sick.
Yeah, dude.
Sick, bro. You're like, Mike, your career caps off as a top 5 gatekeeper. I'm like, all right.
Dude, but that just goes
Let's
to show
go.
you how much of a Chimaev hater I was being. I was reaching
Yeah.
so hard. But yeah, no, I was wrong, dude. He can beat anyone. Bo Nickel's not ready to fight him yet. He will be, but not yet.
That is a fight that I very much so want to see.
Bro, so, I mean, what is there to say? Chimaev can shoot from further away than anyone.
Yeah.
On good guys, too. Like, Whitaker has good anti-wrestling.
He can't do that to Bo, though.
Oh, no. You can't do that to Bo. But,
The
like,
problem is, it's like the striking.
but like he could do that to Drakus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
He could do that to Strickland.
Absolutely.
He might even be able to do it to Izzy.
I'm sure he could.
Izzy is a little better at anti-wrestling, I think. But regardless, like, dude, Chimaev is so good. And he's big, too. He's real big.
Which is crazy. He was fighting at 170.
And also, he's got that... Okay, so anyone who trains knows this, right? Where you have someone who, like, looks... Like, not that Chimaev doesn't look like an athlete and everything, but he looks like a regular athlete. You know what I mean? Like, you see a UFC fighter, and you're like, that's what I imagine a UFC fighter looks like. And then you have certain guys who have, like, insane bodies. Like, I'm trying to think. Like Chet Congo.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, yo, dude, like, is that a guy bodybuilder or a fighter? You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Chimaev doesn't look like that. He just looks like a really in-shape guy. But he must have the most insane mat strength. Actually, I wonder about this because Rob did say that it was a past injury. So was it insane squeeze strength, or was it that Rob's
Still insane squeeze strength, but it was... So what Rob said... So if you don't know what happened, Chimaev rear naked choked Robert Whitaker over his face with it, which is in... Well, first off, it's MMA, so everything's legit, but it is a legit technique. And it broke Whitaker's teeth.
Yeah, like this bone that connects to the teeth. It popped
like
back.
collapsed it in, like so his teeth went down into like his tongue area, like underneath his tongue. And what Whitaker said that like those teeth were loose. He said that there was an injury from like earlier days, and then also when he fought Drakus, he knocked him in as well, and they never like fully healed. And on that squeeze, it just like, pop.
Dude, have you ever been punched in the lower teeth?
Yeah, I've had my lower teeth knocked out.
Oh, really? I've never had them knocked out, but I remember one time I ate a punch like directly, like it missed my mouth guard and just hit the lower teeth. And I was like, oh no, like that sucks. So I can only imagine how bad that like.
Yeah,
hurts.
Luke Burdett knocked some of my teeth out whenever we were younger.
Savage.
Yeah,
In the wild days.
yeah, it was wild days.
Was it in little gloves? I bet.
You know
Full
it.
fist fight.
Absolutely.
Unreal. So yeah, that's a bummer. I really wanted Whitaker to win.
Go to the 85 rankings and let's figure out who we want.
Yeah. Who should be fighting next?
Khamzat to fight next. All right, so I'm gonna consider he needs to fight.
He needs to fight a grappler, right?
No, he needs to fight someone in the top 3. Which he just did. He just fought number 4.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Okay.
You figure there's Champ, Drakus, and then there's 2. So number 1, Drakus, 2, Sean Strickland, 3, Izzy, 4, Whitaker. Although the UFC ranks them, Champ 1, 2, 3, which is not ranking.
Oh man, there's a couple interesting fights here actually.
I don't see any interesting fight.
Dude, so it's a bummer. You know who I think does the best against him?
Who?
Is Vittori.
I disagree?
I think Vittori's got like pretty solid like wrestling.
Okay, I don't think it's solid enough.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. I'm just trying to.
I
Like,
would say that Whitaker has pretty solid wrestling.
it's fair. Do you think Brendan Allen has good enough jiu-jitsu for that to matter? I
Nope.
don't think so either.
He just
He just lost. Um,
who did he lose to?
he lost to. Who did he just
Dolce,
lose to?
the dude.
No, Delite just beat Kevin Holland.
Who did he just lose to? He just lost.
That's it.
Oh, yeah. Where the hell?
Imavov.
Go back to the rankings.
Yeah.
Where the hell's he at?
Imavov? Imavov is up here.
Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Actually, that's an interesting fight.
No, dude, that's not moving the needle. You don't go down. He just beat Robert Whitaker. You go up. You go up.
That's true. Do you
You
think they
gotta
give
fight-
him a title fight next just because he's interesting?
Dude, yeah.
Okay, but regardless of where they are on
Especially that performance, having busted in his teeth.
here, yeah.
Dude, I think he's gonna. Like they don't have Dracus isn't. Is he?
I don't think it's signed, but they're talking about him fighting Strickland, right?
Well, if it's not signed, then it's not happening too soon.
Could be signed. This is when we need a producer who like knows something. Yeah, dude. I think honestly,
I would not give him Izzy.
If I were in
You got to
the
keep
UFC's,
Izzy fresh.
yes. If I were in the UFC's position, I would just go straight to Dracus. That's a fresh fight. Do we really want to see Dracus and Sean Strickland again?
No, dude. Honestly, I'm going straight to the title with him right now.
Yep. And also that takes Strickland's opportunity away, and I do not like Strickland, so good for that matchup. I think that's the move. Yeah, you go straight to the title shot, and
Click
honestly,
on Dracus.
And honestly, I kind of think he beats Dracus. Oops, I just got the picture.
I do too. All right, let me see these fights. Yeah, no, dude, you go, yeah, for sure. Like he's just got his last 3 fights. You know, obviously win over Izzy, then he went over Strickland, and then a win over Whitaker. Yeah, you got to go.
Yeah, he's
straight.
wiping out the top. Yeah, give him Chimaev. And also, think about it. All of these guys aren't like a big grappling threat. So now it's like, hey, let's...
I want to see Chimaev versus...
VP.
And that'll give Bo a couple fights to get up to him.
Yeah. Dude, actually, you know who they should give Bo to?
No, because we already got it. Who did we just match Pereira up with?
We said that he
Michelle
should fight...
Pereira. The bullet. Give me
yes.
back my bullets.
I just want to see Pereira get beat up by Bo Nickel. Who should Bo Nickel fight next? Do you think he gets a top 5?
Anthony
15?
Hernandez. Doesn't Bo Nickel fight on the 16th? Who's he fighting?
Don't know.
Whatever. All right.
Doesn't matter. Neither here nor there.
Neither here nor there. Let's get us to the main event.
All right, main event. Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway, the BMF against the champ. One of the, arguably the GOAT of the featherweight division, fighting the current, star. What was your prediction?
My prediction was I thought Ilia Topuria was going to win. Who was I rooting for? Max Holloway.
Yep, I think we
I'm
both
still
felt the
rooting
same
for
way.
Max Holloway.
Absolutely.
Now here goes the thing. There is an arc Topuria took with me.
I'm really glad you said this because I was on for the ride.
There's a freaking arc. So I first got on board with Topuria during this I'm watching the countdown or whatever, and I'm seeing social media stuff, and he's like, last episode I'm like, yeah, he's kind of a cunt.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you know what I mean?
He's arrogant. He only wears designer clothes.
Yeah, right? He's got a super freaking nice house, dude.
He does.
I'm like, what a douche. Like,
Also, he's fighting Max, so like we're looking for ways to be haters.
so there's that. And like they're like talking to each other, and like Max is like saying some good shit, and then like Ilya is responding with some stuff that doesn't make sense. We're like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, you're weird. And then on the countdown, I saw him with his family, right? Like his family as in his wife and kids. And then I was like, So I didn't start to like him, but I started to dislike him less.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Right? And then I saw a picture of him like holding his daughter, who's like, looks to be about a year old. And he's holding her like kind of like a football, and she's like all like huge smile and stuff, and like just a shift. I was like, oh, now I like you.
Yeah,
Right?
dude.
Because like I saw like the family,
Yep.
I saw that like, and I was like, oh man, like you got me right.
As soon as you find out someone's a family man, it just like changes everything.
Yeah. It's just like, okay, you're not like this. Like I originally, like when I look at him and I see him, like I look at him, I'm like, okay, there's this, and then I hear him talk and like a little bit of how he was acting in just the clips that I saw, right? Like it's not like I know him or anything, but I'm like, yo, like he's like some douche at a club,
Yeah.
right? Is
Like you expect him to be like a Eurotrash douchebag
yes,
with
exactly,
money, you know?
exactly, and then, like he's like a decent, like a stand-up family man, right? And then like I see him with his kids, and I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
So I started to like him, but not enough to like him more than
Oh,
Max,
absolutely not.
right? And then I watched him fight, and I was like, and like like I had seen probably clips of him fighting, but like I honestly don't think I've watched one of his fights
See, I
because
knew.
I was still on my like
Right.
I just wasn't watching fights for 5 years. I just was
Yeah.
like, can't be bothered, would rather not.
Yeah.
Like hate the sport, so dumb. Why do you coach it? It's the only thing I know. It's like, yeah, like what do you do for work? Hang drywall? You love it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you go home and watch YouTube videos of people hanging drywall? Right? Like no, it's like what you're good at, right? You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, but like we've been talking about on recent episodes, like I'm being pulled back. My fandom's being pulled back. So I watched this fight and I'm like impressed with him as well.
So
And I don't want to like ruin like anything that we might be about to talk about. So that's where I'm gonna leave it.
gotcha. So I went along that arc with you. You like told me a bunch of these things, and like I also knew I was being a little bit of a hater. You know what I mean? And then you're like, yeah, dude, I saw a picture of him with his kid, and I was like, wait, he's got like a wife and kids, and you're like, yeah. I was like, I don't know. And dude, you know what's crazy? When I was like in my 20s, if you told me that, I don't care. You
Yeah.
know? But like now I'm like older, and I'm like, oh, I really respect that. You know?
Yeah.
But anyways, so we're watching this fight, right? First round, relatively close. Max has insane output, right? What was the stat? 200?
200. He threw 200 strikes in the first 2 rounds.
Unbelievable.
100
right?
strikes a round.
First round was relatively close.
Second round was relatively close.
Wait, was that?
This is where we're disagreeing. This is where we literally had to
Yeah.
disagree. And you were like, man, you're right.
But that is the one we talked about, right? That we disagreed on the first round. With
yeah, we
takedowns?
disagreed on the first round. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I thought it was relatively close because I thought that Max, and again, I have not watched it back. This is one time I watched it, and then I've watched a gazillion fights since then. But I thought that Max was getting slightly better of the striking.
Okay, fair.
And then
wanna say
I
that,
think
fair.
that Topuria won it. I think he edged him out with the takedowns.
It's not what you thought live.
Yeah, I thought that I said it was a close round, and I think
you
Topuria.
didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, dude.
I had to convince you of it.
You had to convince me that it wasn't close, but we both had Topuria winning.
Yeah. No, did you? Did you have Topuria winning or did you have Max?
Yeah, I was like, it was close, and you were like, no, it wasn't.
Okay, so here goes the thing.
Did you remember you were concussed?
I was concussed. I was concussed, but I still stand by my evaluation of round one. And I hear people talking some wild shit about round one, like Max or one, like even like Conor McGregor was like, yeah, dude, he was like.
Dude, you can't listen to Conor. Conor was all coked up and
yeah. So anyhow, here goes the thing. So, in my opinion, the striking was very close. It was relatively even, right? And had that been it, you may have been able to say Max, okay? Ilya got 2 takedowns. You know what I mean? So, like, here's the thing. It's like, the striking's like even, right? So, the takedown decides it. And that's all there is to it. And that's the bottom line. And then someone might come back and be like, yeah, well, he didn't really do anything with the takedown. Could you hear I could hear someone saying that. Could you hear someone saying that? In which to that, I would rebuttal and be like, well, he did more than Max did with his takedown because Max didn't get one.
Yep.
So that's the separator, right? That's what separated it, okay? And in my opinion, Max didn't outstrike him enough in that first round to have overcome that. Like, it was maybe a slight edge to Max. I'm not even sure of that, truly, in my opinion. So if you're that sure that it was that significant of an edge to Max, maybe you're right. Maybe you just can see striking better than I can, which is fair. But I would say that the level in which I see things is probably about good enough for a quality judge.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
So
also, as someone who sees striking like pretty well, I don't think it was nearly enough
right.
to edge out 2 takedowns. I kind of view takedowns. This is something that like we've been telling our fighters is like view your takedowns as a strike. You know what I mean? And think about it. If you strike someone and they fall down, that means a lot, right? Maybe taking someone down doesn't quite count as much as like dropping someone, but what if it counts like, half as much? You know what I mean? Like that's half of dropping someone is still way more than landing a couple more like strikes at the end of exchanges. You
Here
know
goes,
what I mean?
bringing up a good point. You're just firing things off. So tell me, what is the difference in your scoring, your personal scoring, and then also I wanted to know what you think the mass public think on the difference between like when you drop someone with a kick versus dropping them with a punch.
What do you mean, like both to the head?
No, one to like a leg kick. Like I put you down with a leg kick.
Oh, a leg kick.
Yeah, versus dropping you with a punch. Like how much more do you value the punch over the leg kick?
That's a really good question, actually.
Because I would say dropping you with a leg kick is the exact same as a takedown.
Here's the only reason I think it's slightly better. Let's say that I take you down, right? And you pop up immediately, right? Like you're not really damaged. Whereas if I drop you with a low kick and then you stand right back up, like it's inhibited your ability to fight well after that.
Well, okay. If you drop them with a leg kick that like they fell because of like
Oh, like they were off balance, kind of.
well,
Like,
I mean, I could kick your leg. I mean, I drop people with leg kicks like all the time. Like even now that I don't even spar, I still go like mess around and then I just like
I got you.
kick
You
your
mean
leg
like
out and
you
you fall
pumped
down.
that leg out?
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah, 100% same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So same as a takedown.
Right.
So how much more do you value the strike to the head, knocking someone down over that leg kick, knocking someone down?
That's the initial number that popped on my head was twice as much. That's why I said 50% for that. And the reason being, if you take someone down and then you get busy, like they're still mentally with it. Whereas if you drop someone and then you go and get busy and you go to pass and whatever, like they're potentially disoriented, hurt, whatever.
Right, correct. So they're potentially disoriented and hurt. All right, now why do them being disoriented or hurt matter versus them not?
Higher likelihood that you'll be able to
Recreate that?
no implement your offense from that position. So like let's say I take you down and I'm like standing over you like in open guard position. On paper should be easier for me to pass had I dropped you as opposed to just taking you down.
Well, what if I drop you and you stand back up?
I don't get what you're asking me.
Like, what if you get knocked down, like you get punched, you get dropped, and then and you get back up?
Yeah.
Versus getting taken down and getting back up. That's what I'm saying.
Got you. Yeah, I think that the value.
Because that's what I'm arguing. I'm arguing for when you take someone down but they get back up, for it to be more valuable than I think that it's being held to right now.
Got you. Yes, agree 100%. Even if you use my number, 50% of dropping someone, right? If imagine you and I are fighting and we have 10 striking exchanges, right? And in each one of those exchanges, we each land 2 punches, but you land a third one at the end. And so you're winning each one of those exchanges, right? And then 2 minutes into the fight, I drop you, with a big hard right hand or whatever. Like, who's winning the fight now? It was relatively even, and now I'm winning.
You're
right?
winning for sure.
Now, what if I took
This is
you
not
down?
a disagreement on me.
I know. I'm trying to.
Oh, and then if you took me down, I would say you're winning as well.
Exactly. I think it's about half as much.
Okay, so now here goes. I'm trying to get to like I want to understand it more.
So actually, no, that's perfect. Because think about it. Ilya got 2 takedowns.
Yeah.
So that's the equivalent if he dropped them in that round.
Yeah. Well, the one takedown was Max slipped and
Slipping,
fell.
yeah.
But that's another thing. I don't want to talk about that yet.
Fair enough.
All right. I just still want to talk about dropping people versus getting a takedown. So the exact one-to-one comparison I want is what happens after the occurrence, right? So if I take you down, I hold you down, and I beat your ass, then obviously I win, right? If I drop you and I go down and I beat your ass, same thing, right? Like it's the same thing. So what I want to talk about is like I dropped you and you bounced back up, right? Like you just like your legs came out and you came back up versus me taking you down, you rolling the turtle, hitting a stand up and clearing back out. Okay. Why is the drop more valuable than the takedown? And you do view the drop as twice as valuable as the takedown. And it's
obviously situational.
Damage.
I'm talking generalities, but
It's because there's assumed damage that you're still carrying that you're assuming you're not carrying from the takedown, then how did I beat Stephen Rigman?
But okay, so that's another thing too. Is there's
damage
outliers.
from the takedown.
Exactly. If you hit a crazy 5-point, you know what I mean? Like, dude.
Well, it wasn't a crazy 5-point. It was a standard double leg when I did it.
Right, but the way you double leg, you don't standard double leg, dude. You run through people. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I have to get the finish.
you're right, but like either way, your double leg is the perfect example of what I'm talking about, where a takedown should be a strike.
Yes,
You know what I
okay.
mean? Like you hit that dude. Whereas if like let's say that I was fighting Regman and
Right.
we're trying to compare apples to apples, and like I catch him with like a weird long hook or something, and he gets like flashed and like pops right back up, and he's like basically okay.
Yeah.
That is like the outlier on the low end of the dropping in him and the high end of the taking him down. And now they've almost evened out. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I get what you're saying. So here goes what I was trying to get at, is that you would argue, that I'd imagine you would argue, and I think most people are saying like, oh, well, if you got dropped, then when you come up, you're not 100% of what you were before you got dropped. Whereas if you get taken down and you come up, you are closer to 100% of what you were before you got taken down. And my thing is like, and it's a mental thing. Like you're thinking like mentally, like they got dropped, so they're, you know, they're kind of like messed up. And I would say if you got taken down, you're kind of messed up because now you're not throwing hard.
Dude, and physically too.
Yeah.
Like I don't think people realize that like if you're fully extended on a punch and someone runs through your hips,
Yeah.
like even if you don't get lifted, but you just get taken down super aggressively there, like that hurts.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, it physically hurts, but also now like this person cannot sit down on their punches anymore.
Exactly.
They can't strike as now. They're all, like, I would say that whenever you drop somebody with a punch, it is more commonly, and they bounce back up, it is more commonly that you now have damaged their defense. Whereas if you take someone down, you have damaged their offense.
That was tremendous. That was a great bar.
All the way around.
Dude, that was a great bar
all the
right
way
there.
around. All right.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Cool. I'm glad.
I love how you phrased that.
That went exactly the way I wanted.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So yeah, Mike and I both agreed in varying degrees that Ilya got that first round. Second round, we're watching, right? Ilya is just doing what he does, right? Crisp
You know, a
boxing.
judge actually scored the first round for Max. Official scorecards.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't like
You want to? How did
I
we?
don't know if we can get that.
Screw it. But yeah. One judge. So the official scorecards, round one went 2 judges 10-9 Topuria, 1 judge 10-9 Holloway.
I don't love that.
Yeah, and dude, this is someone who's like, I just want Max to win so bad.
Right.
You know?
Oh, you asked me earlier. You were talking about like what the general public sees. I think that because Max is so beloved, I think that's why, you know how when you're watching it live on the side, they have like Twitter,
Yeah.
you know, opinions and stuff pop up, and we saw some people like, oh, I think Max might have got that round, whatever. And I was like, I can understand why some people might think that, because like we all fall into the hype. We all like the
Kevin
guys we
Iole.
like.
I'm gonna call him out.
He was the one that I was like, he should know better. He's been around the game for a long time.
Yeah, he was like Max 10-9, and I'm like, man, we watched a different round.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
I was like, maybe he was like going and getting a drink.
Yeah,
during the takedowns. Like,
and that's the other thing is I don't want to judge people too harshly, because I guarantee you today already.
and
I
they
said something
have to
wrong.
post. Like that's like
Right.
their thing. Their thing is like
In the moment, he has to post.
in the moment engagement. Yeah, but
So-
like, you know, but this is also their thing. Taking this criticism.
And if somebody gets in the YouTube comments and is like, yo, you're an idiot, you don't know how to say Rakic's name, or you said that this happened in this round, hey man, we deserve it, is what it is.
No, I don't deserve it. Don't do that.
Don't worry, if you put it in YouTube, I'm the only one who's reading it, and I'll enjoy it.
They don't let me read the comments because I'll quit the podcast.
But anyways, second round, right? Ilya's just doing a great job of what he does, right? Great jabs to manage space, start to get inside. Excellent head movement. And when I say excellent head movement, I'm not just talking about that he's not getting hit. I'm talking about that he's not getting hit by a really small margin and maintaining good position. When I'm talking about position-wise in this context, is he's not leaning back or to the side in such like an aggressive way that it takes his center of mass either really far to the end of his stance or even past his stance, right? He's always in a good position to fire something back, right? It's really, really small motions that you don't see as much in MMA, right? That's a very nuanced thing that you often see boxers doing, you know what I mean? Were you shocked that I used the lid to put out the candle?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
you just see my face?
Yeah. It's physics, bro.
What kind of a savage are you?
It's wood, you know what I mean?
You're
It's
gonna
not
catch
gonna...
your house on fire. You're gonna burn the house down.
Oh man. But anyways, Topuria is killing it, right?
Yeah.
And all he's doing is great head movement, mostly jabs, throwing some other strikes here and there, or other punches, I should say, and calf kicks, right? Super, super basic. And at one point, I look over at Mike, and I'm starting to say this, and as I'm starting to say it, I see Mike looking over at me, and I was like, dude, look at how simple it is. And Mike's like, no, bro, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I was like mad that you said it first because like I was like like my mouth was starting to say it, and like
And
yeah,
I can corroborate that because you were like, I looked at you like half a second before you did, and I started saying it right as your mouth like opened, like you were in the process of saying it.
Yeah, dude. I was so that was this fight. I was like, yeah, there was something I couldn't remember. I was like, there was something that we like got said at the same time, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Yeah. We did that on the podcast once.
Bro, we've done that a
I'm
gazillion.
having freaking heartburn, bro. I'm over here dying.
Oh, you're getting distracted from candles, bro. You're having heartburn.
Dude, yeah, you can't keep things around me. I'm not equipped for this. I'm distracted by the candle on the episode that we had Lucas on. Was that last episode?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. No. Last episode we did the breakdown. We didn't
Yeah,
have him
it
on
must have been 2 ago.
2 ago. And like you had some like spinning heel kick going on and we're just the spinning heel kick instead of listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so that was fun.
So yeah, second round, we were just like really impressed with how basic his game was and how sharp and high level it was, you know? And a lot of time people talk about like MMA fighters having good boxing, or they say good hands, which whatever. But like Topuria had good boxing in kind of like a boxing context, but for MMA too.
Yeah,
I was very impressed.
I was just like so impressed with it. Second round. Mm-hmm. That was second round. Yeah. And then third round.
Hold on. We skipped over how good his takedowns were in the first round.
Yeah, his first off, takedown. Because if we're going to be lauding his proactive takedown, which I do want to, the second one was Max falling down. So he had one proactive takedown, which was phenomenal.
Dude, it was so good.
Dude, it was set up so well.
Didn't go
good
to a
shoulder
knee.
placement. Didn't go to a knee because also like, which we'll be talking about later. Sometimes actually going to the knee is necessary.
Right.
But
generally speaking,
due to the level of which your opponent's hips are, going to the knee would likely put you too low to impact the hips on the angle in which you want your shoulder to impact the hips for a takedown in MMA with your opponent in a more upright stance.
dude.
Just nailing it, dude. He just like nailed it, like as you would imagine.
Dude, hold on. I got 2 things to say about this.
Freaking world champ.
One is the fact that he's European makes it more impressive. Actually, no,
But
it
he's
doesn't.
Georgian.
He's
though.
Georgian. Yeah,
He's
that
Georgian.
doesn't make it more impressive.
And they're
yeah,
super
exactly. I was thinking, I was like,
They're
oh, he's
former
Spanish.
Soviet.
Oh yeah. If he was actually Spanish, I would have been twice as impressed.
One of my favorite wrestlers of their era was Vladimir Kinkashvili. He was the 2016 Olympic champion at 57 kilos in Rio. He's Georgian. And he was like during that era, like 15 through like all the way up to 20, honestly. He had to move up a weight class after that because like it's hard. That's 125 pounds. It's hard to hold that. Yeah, he was one of my favorite wrestlers, Georgian.
Yeah.
The heavyweight Olympic champion this year in 2024, Geno Petrovili, Georgian.
Oh, dude, I thought you were about to say Spanish. I was like, what?
No.
But okay, all right. Then I'm not more impressed that he's European, Georgian. That makes sense. But you said nailed it, dude. I very much did not nail it in the Chimaev prediction. I nailed the Topuria prediction. Also, I think my future prediction that no one beats him for quite some time is on point. And also, I was one of the first people, at least in like our squad, I think, who was saying this. Topuria's ground game is better than his stand-up.
And like I couldn't corroborate that because I don't watch him fight.
But we'll get to that.
When do you want to get to that? After we talk about the third round?
Yeah, I guess. So second round, we were very impressed with Topuria. And I think that, any disagreement that he won that round?
No, I thought he won that round as well. So I had him 2-0 going into the third. Although I do think that round was closer. Maybe not the striking wasn't closer because he won the striking exchanges, whereas I believe he slightly lost the striking exchanges in round 1, but there was no takedown in round 2, which you're seeing the importance. I mean, it's mixed martial arts.
Yeah, and I think that was the round where
of a separation.
I started to see. I don't really love this word to describe it, but you do see momentum building for Topuria.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that takes us to the third round. He cracked Max, immediately, rushes in, eats up that space, and then like that's when he unloaded. You know what I mean? And like he doesn't unload until it's the right time. He's patient. Like that's such a mature way to go about fighting, especially in his style. Oh, dude, we just glossed over in the very beginning. He did the point, and
And Max did the matador.
hit him with the matador, dude. I thought that was the perfect thing for Max to do.
Yeah.
Literally perfect. Now, had Max obliged, do you think that Topuria would have just stood and hucked?
Yeah, I think Max should have, dude. He should have went in there and been like, maybe one of these does it. Let's go.
In hindsight, I do, but I thought it was perfect how he played that. Hit him with the matador. But anyways, back to the third round.
Dude, and we were ready for Max to throw up that left head kick, but Topuria was very disciplined with his right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And we were ready for it because on the countdown, I saw he kept kicking Allen in the head with that left head kick.
Yeah, dude. And also, Topuria sits on that side really heavily. You know what I mean? He's real heavy on his back leg. He looks like the way that, you know how Tommy and Kello trains his boxers?
Dude,
they're all real back leg heavy, like that same kind of like vertical forearm base, like elbow in nice and tight, and like a little lean to that side. You know what I mean? With the lead shoulder high to defend. He has like the perfect Tommy Kello style boxing.
He does.
Yeah,
He
it's
does.
cool.
Yeah, Tommy and Kello, good follow on Instagram.
Yeah, legend in this area. He was Roy Jones' coach.
He was a trainer of Roy Jones, trainer of Paul Spadafora.
Mm-hmm, yep. Yeah. And again, local to here. He's in Butler, I think.
I want to say Aliquippa, but now I'm starting to second guess myself.
I don't know. But either way, this area.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was leaning to that side, we were like, oh, Max should throw that left head kick. But unfortunately, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's what happened in the fight.
Is it in Ambridge?
I don't know, bro. If someone's interested, they'll find it out.
You shouldn't even have said that because now I can't stop thinking about it.
But either way, neither here nor there.
I think it's in Ambridge.
Dude, I don't know. I have no clue. Also, you know me, dude. If it's not in the city, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't know shit about outside the city.
I sure don't.
All right.
But anyways, that's more or less all I have to say about the fight. I was very impressed with Topuria's performance. I may not be, although I'm coming around to being a fan. As long as he doesn't do anything like bad,
I'm a fan.
Then
I'm a fan too. And the way they read him, Conor McGregor's tweet after, like his Conor McGregor's tweet was like, oh, he's too small to matter, blah blah blah. And like, I don't know, a good little fighter. They called him, oh, he's a good little fighter, too small to like this or that. And like, Topuria was like, what's wrong with him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why are you saying this type thing? And he was like, you know what? Fuck him. And I was like, yeah, dude, for real. Like,
yeah, Topuria's growing on me. Obviously, big fan of his as a fighter. As a dude, he's growing on me. So
yeah,
maybe he can turn around. Maybe by this time next year I'll be wearing a Topuria shirt.
Maybe. That gave me an idea.
But anyways, should we get into matchups and such?
For the featherweight division?
Yeah. Or do you have anything else to say about the fight, really?
Nah. No, nothing else to say about the fight other than super impressed.
Yeah.
I don't really know if I want to get into many matchups at 45. He should rematch Volk. That should be the next fight.
Yeah.
And
if Volk doesn't beat him, which I don't think he does, I don't see anyone who gives him problems. Maybe like you said,
like we got to see what's up with Evelev, who's fighting Aljo in December. I don't know if that's been announced yet.
If he significantly out-grappled Aljo...
Click on Evelev.
Then I might be
I want to see if it's announced.
Then I might think he has something for him, but I just don't see anyone beating Topuria.
Go up. Go all the way to the top? Somewhere it says like, oh, there it is. Versus Sterling, December 7th.
Okay.
All right, cool.
That'll tell us a lot, actually.
Yeah, so Evelev, I'm very interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
What is his record? 18-0?
Evelev, 18...
18-0.
Dude, no. 18-fight win streak.
18-0,
Oh,
bro.
18-0. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
3 wins by knockout, 4 wins by submission.
Yeah, I'm interested in Evelev. I mean, I got to see... Dude, he beat Lopez already.
And Allen, dude, and Ige. Honestly, quality wins.
I think, you know what? What is it? It's October 26th. December 7th is only 6 weeks after October 26th. So 6 weeks of change. Winner of Aljo, Evelev. No, Volk has to fight it. So that's what I got to see. The winner of Aljo and Evelev probably are going to need another fight around the time Volk and Ilya fight.
Mm-hmm.
So who would the winner of those fight?
Lopez, maybe?
Yeah, but Evelev just beat Lopez. I think if Aljo beats Evelev, then he fights Lopez around the time Volk and Ilya fight. I think if Evelev beats Aljo,
Rodriguez.
then he fights Rodriguez. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Now, click on, well, actually, I don't need you to. They did not fight Yair Rodriguez and Ilya Topuria. I know that because of what I did Saturday night.
Yeah, I think that's the move. What do you think?
That's the move.
What do you think next for Holloway?
Holloway, fight Lopez.
Dude, actually, that's a very fun fight.
Yeah, I mean, fight Lopez. Here's the thing, like, Lopez needs a fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not going to be Yair Rodriguez, or it could be. Click on Yair. Did they fight already?
I believe so.
I don't think so.
Oh, looks like I'm wrong.
Nope.
Yep. Yeah, you're right.
So Lopez could fight Yair or Max.
Interesting. Yeah. So, okay, so you're saying Topuria against Volk, that's next. And around that same time, you have...
You could do Max and Yair. Did they fight? Yeah, they fought.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
Yair.
Here, let's just keep it simple. It's gotta be Volk and Ilya, and then because let's talk title implications only. Volk and Ilya, and then Aljo and Evelev. But they're gonna need the winner of that is gonna need a fight around the time Volk and Ilya fight, and I think they should fight probably Lopez.
Either Lopez or Rodriguez. If
I think the winner of that should fight Lopez. Because Yair fought for the title against Volk.
Right, but we're saying that if Evelev wins that, or wait, which one of them fought Lopez? Yeah, if Evelev wins, he just fought Lopez. So if he
maybe
wins,
if Evelev
then
wins,
fight Rodriguez. If Aljo wins, have him fight Lopez. Winner of that fights winner
of Volk and Yair and Topuria.
Yeah.
Yep, that sounds good. All right, let's move on.
Love it. All right. So yeah, that's that card. What's next? We're getting into.
I mean, do you want to move to the 247 or should we stay chronological?
Yeah, let's go chronological.
All right, cool. All right, so 247 Fighting Championships happened in North Versailles, Pennsylvania. We had 4 of our fighters compete in MMA. One of our fighters take on a last-minute grappling contest. And it was, weddings and funerals. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So Tim Bailey, he lost his grappling match by an inverted triangle. Mm-hmm. Something that we just need to work on in there. The thing with that inverted triangle is he was in that same triangle in his most recent fight, right? And it was kind of like he wasn't sure it was the same triangle, and it's because of the direction in which the triangle came on, right? So in his fight, his opponent was like in the hat, like kind of had his back. It was falling off the back to the triangle, whereas in this match, Tim was like passing the guard, was nearing north-south towards the pass. Opponent was able to keep the low leg in and rolled it up into the same said triangle. So it's just clearly, something that we need to figure out. It's obviously, evidently, presenting itself in Tim's case. And I would say the issue with it for me at the moment is it's presenting itself in my case as well. One of my guys, very good, Alex Hudik, has hit it on me more than a handful of times. So, it's something that both coach and fighter need to figure out, and we will. And we'll move on from there.
And, lucky that we get that data where we see the same mistake made twice, and yet it didn't affect his MMA record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it really tells us,
data.
hey, this particular thing is what we need to work on. But your MMA record's still all good. So
yeah. Now, in my case with it though, is like the only person who gets it on me is that like people throw it on me left, and like I'm literally, which is probably something that I should look at for myself, because like I am leaving that opportunity, because a lot of people are attempting it, but they're not getting it locked on.
Perhaps that gives you a little bit of like overconfidence in that
That
position.
yeah, that like I'm like, yeah, this is not going to work out.
And
And typically, when they fall off, I end up capitalizing by either like they present their back to me,
right.
you know.
And it's easy to look at it like, oh, you know, Alex is a freak. He's the only one who can do that to me. But knowing your mindset, I'm sure you're like, no, 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 no. There's a handful of Alexes out there. I don't want those dudes getting it on me.
Yeah, for sure. And I sure as hell don't want Alex doing it to me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care if I don't care who's doing it. It's like, yeah, I don't
no
want
one.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's that. We'll figure that out. So let's move on. We had Brian Mitchell make his amateur MMA debut. Man, a unique set of circumstances. So I wasn't sure when I was gonna want Brian to debut, and he just like he's like, you know, just such a like a hard worker.
Always in the gym.
Always in the gym, a tremendous supporter of his teammates.
Yup.
He's at everybody's fight.
And he's not just in the gym, he's present at practices. You know what I mean? Like he's very much paying attention.
Yeah. He's not just like in there hanging around.
Yes.
Dude. He is always active.
Yes.
He's always active. He's in classes. You know, he also like helps out, right? Like
great
like,
teammate.
Yeah, great teammate. You know, he helps out with kids program. He'll help out like, you know,
Covering
ACL
MMA
surgery.
stuff,
So yeah, and stuff like that. But he got on the team and like just like the way that a coach loves. You know what I mean? Like mouth shut, head down, work hard. Like he didn't ask to be on the team. He got asked to be on the team.
Built the skills.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was just like, dude, I was just like watching him train over months and months, like from ground zero, right? I saw him like, I might not have had him his first day, but I saw him like within the first 2 weeks.
Yep.
You know? So from ground zero, just watching him build himself up, and like a heavy focus on jiu-jitsu, which, you know, a great place to start. And competed as a white belt, got his blue belt, competed as a blue belt several times, just like getting reps of competition in. I can't even remember when it came about, but like I just like, you know, was watching him train. I was like, yo, Brian, what's up? And he's like, hey. I was like, what do you want to do? He's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, you want to fight? And he was like, yeah, I'd like to fight, you know? And I was like, all right, well, come to the strip on Tuesday, you know? He's like, what? What do I need? And I'm like, all right, so like, and all that stuff. So like, you know, and then there's always there. You just can't say enough good things about him. His skill level right now, if I had to like explain his skill level, he, on a scale from 1 to 10, he's a 1 of what Brian's gonna be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he ain't shit now.
Right.
He's gonna be really, really good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because he can learn well.
Yes.
He can take constructive criticism from his coaches. I also think that, like...
And he's young.
He's young. He's like 22. You know what I mean? And I also think that, like, he can take, like, constructive criticism in many manners, right? Like, you know what I mean? You got Vince, who might be a little bit more like ruthless with you, right? And then you got like me and you, who are probably going to be a little softer. You know what I mean? But like it lets you see like how you react to both,
right?
And it's like maybe you need a coach to be like, hey, like a little bit more rough. And
which
like,
also shout out to Vince. So Vince, for those of you guys who don't know, he kind of runs you know, our Monroeville location, and so far like the majority of our fighters have come out of the Strip, which is our most like established program.
Well, you know,
and
that one's been around. We're coming up on 15 years this February,
right?
Whereas Monroeville is coming up on, it just passed 4 years,
right?
You know,
and you know, to have Vince like produce someone of Brian's skill level is just like boom, huge.
Yeah.
For Vince, you know, like shows like what he's doing up there is working so well, you know. And like, not that we're not, I mean, we are one big team, and you know, Brian comes and works on the Strip, and like, you know, it's not like it's a big separate thing, but still, you know, that,
you don't want there to be a disparity between the locations, right? You want to be able to go and get your feet wet and get your foundation built at any of the locations and be confident. And then when you get pulled in, and you know, all the fight team practices take place in the Strip District because it's in the center.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, they happen in the Strip District because the better fighters come out of the Strip District. No, it happens in the Strip District because it's in the middle.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if it's in Zealy, then the people from Monroeville got an hour.
Yeah.
Right? If it's in Monroeville, the people from Zealy got an hour. If it's in Zealy, the people from Bridgeville got this, and like so forth. You know what I mean? So the strip's central. So it makes sense to have like the team practice there when everybody comes together.
But yeah, just shout out to Vince for, creating that base that allowed him to, hop into those practices no problem. And really excel and honestly be one of the better grapplers.
Right. Another thing that's really going to help you is like mentorship.
Oh yeah.
Like getting a mentor. And like here goes the problem with getting a mentor is it happens like organically. You know what I mean? It's not like you can walk up to like Lucas and be like, will you be my mentor? It has to happen organically. Yeah. Like something has to happen that like wings you up, right? Like, like through interactions, classes, training sessions, stuff like that. Something happens where one of the senior members of the team, the more experienced members of the team, they just lift that wing up and they're like, come on under, right? And absolutely Brian is being mentored by Brittany, and what a great mentor,
Absolutely.
So when we signed this fight, I was like, first off, he signed it on just 5 weeks notice, which is like, maybe a little bit less than normal for a debut, right? But I'm like, you're ready, don't think about it, just go, and I start a text group immediately. It's me, Britt, and Brian. I label it B Mitchell 1-0, and I'm like, Britt, you're in charge of Brian's camp, I'm out, see ya.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. Like, you're in charge of the camp.
Yeah.
I want communication to go down in this group so that way I have eyes over it, but I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're running the camp. And a lot of cool things like happen. So some weird stuff happened with this. So let's talk about the fight real quick, and then I'm going to tell you about the weird stuff. Okay, let's talk about the weight miss. So the change of opponent. All right, so Brian's supposed to fight this kid, Carlos. Hopefully that fight goes down in December. Here goes what we got going on. Carlos had to pull out. Hunter assures was for very legitimate reasons. I can absolutely respect that. We will have to pull out of fights for very legitimate reasons. At the amateur level and even at the pro level, there are things that are more important than fighting. Late opponent replacement. This gentleman from, I believe it was New Jersey, accepted the fight. Boom. All right, we're good. Let's go. Brian's fight was supposed to be at 185. Brian is not a 185er. Brian's a 170. You know what I mean? Coach comes back. Is like, I don't think he can get 185. Can we do a catch weight of 195? I reply, knowing that Brian's already a small 85er. I reply, yeah, we can do 195, but a 195. So here goes the way that it works amateur in Pennsylvania. It's the weight class plus 2 pounds allowance. So if you're fighting 155, you can come in at 157.0 or lighter and you have made weight. Whereas in pro MMA, it's 1 pound. In a title fight, it's flat weight.
Right.
Also, you got to know, because in Ohio, it is flat weight.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And you only get one shot.
You only get one shot, and that's it. So it's supposed to be, so the contract weight is 193, so that way the plus 2 makes it 195.0. And I'm like, okay, cool. I get a call from Brian on weigh-in day, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. I know you're not having trouble making 195.
Right.
So Brian hits me up. He's like, yo, my opponent missed weight. I'm like, whatever, dude. I'm like, who cares? He's like, 201. They're not going to let him fight unless we're within 6 pounds. And I'm like, what did you weigh? And he was like, 191. And I'm like, bro. So something happens, and it turns out Brian weighed 193. Okay? So Brian weighed 193. I don't know. The opponent went and cut weight. I don't know if he got within the 6 or whatever. But I was like, please, please, please. I don't care about the weight disparity. Like, let's think about it like this. Let's think about it like this. Let's just say it's a fight at 205. They're both under 205.
Yeah.
They're both within 185 and 205.
Right.
Right? So if the fight was contracted at 205 and Brian weighed in at 191, that would be chill because it's in between 185 pounds and 205 pounds. So whatever, the fight went through, thankfully. And, Brian goes out and does what he does. Gets a big old double leg.
Timed it perfectly.
Reactive double leg. Runs the legs to the side. Steps over, gift wrap, takes it to a belly down mount, belly down back mount, digs under the chin, pops the head off. gets a submission, first round submission, goes down in the books. First round submission, rear naked choke, 1 minute, 1 second. Here goes where it gets weird. Do you know yet why it's weird?
No, I don't know what you're getting at.
All right, so we've been talking about mentorship, and Brian's mentor is
Oh, now I know.
Brittany. So here goes the thing.
Oh, wow.
So Brian's amateur debut and Brittany's pro debut. Okay,
Wow.
They both won by rear naked choke in the first round, right? Pretty similar. Okay, their walkout songs. Now this is in control though. Their walkout songs. They walked out to the same Sean Paul song. I don't remember the name of the song, but it's the same song, right? Brittany was wearing, the Brittany Bickhart, the cowboy shirt, right? Brian wore the Brittany Bickhart cowboy shirt, right? The Brittany Bickhart bucket hat.
Yeah.
Brian wore the Brittany Bickhart bucket hat, right? Both, like I said, first round rear naked choke at 1 minute and 1 second.
Wow.
Dude, how crazy is that?
That's wild.
Exact second of the fight.
So sick.
Here goes what people are not going to believe. It was on purpose. I was telling Brian the time so he wouldn't squeeze until the exact right time to finish the fight at the exact right second.
Dude, no way.
No, I made that.
Oh, dude. If you said yes, I would have believed you.
Everything else was true except for that last part. Everything else was exactly true except for that last part. Oh, my gosh. Maybe I don't know, dude. That is funny. But
That's
isn't that
awesome.
not crazy?
Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah, he gets up, does an obnoxious dance. Brittany got up, did an obnoxious dance. That's true. That happened. I have videos of them both.
That's hilarious.
But good times. Good times. I think Brittany cried.
Oh, dude, that's tremendous.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Congratulations to Brian. Like you said, that's just the beginning for him. He's only
just
getting
the
better.
beginning. Oh, so you didn't corner. So Vince obviously cornered him with me. But tell the people what I say to the fighters after they win. Usually.
Like in the cage?
Yeah, in the cage.
Oh, first thing we always say, enjoy it.
Enjoy it. Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. Like, look around, taking the crowd. You know what I said to Brian? I was like, let's get this shirt on. I was like, normally I tell people to enjoy it, but you're going to have a lot of these.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
man. I believe it. He's good, and I think he's going to make the right decisions to, train the right way and stuff like that. I think he's going to have a good career.
Agreed.
All right. So let's move on.
Next fight?
Next fight up, so we had Luke Martin fighting for the 247 featherweight title. Luke made his debut less than a year ago, so 5 fights 11 months. In 11 months.
Unbelievable.
Now, with that being said, he also had to take 4 months off to coach wrestling season.
Yep.
Right? So really 5 fights in 7 months.
Yeah.
7 months, right? And if you were listening to the episodes back then when Luke had his last fight, August 2nd, up in LFA, and he won a decision against a very tough opponent, we were like, we're buckling down and doing jiu-jitsu. And he sure as hell buckled down and did jiu-jitsu. And he got really good at jiu-jitsu in a really short time, especially on the top position, right? So in this fight comes out, limited striking exchange, gets a really great takedown. He's on top in a guard, and his opponent, which we were prepared for, is throwing up, different arm bars and triangles. Has a really great high guard. Alex Rios comes from a good team. So first off, we saw him utilize these techniques in past performances.
Also, first off, dude's super skilled. Right?
Super skilled.
Also, really big for the weight class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Luke is pretty big for the weight class. And what's his name? Rios?
Alex Rios.
Alex Rios was like significantly bigger. You know what I mean? So I don't really have anything else to say about that. But yeah, he's a big dude and he's skilled.
Yeah, big dude, skilled, has a really good guard, really utilizes his hips well when attacking from the bottom, which is what we typically see lacking. We typically see the legs go up, but the hips don't follow.
Yep.
Not in Alex's case. Not only does his legs and hips goes up, but he creates very dynamic angles as well as the attack. And we were drilling that in practice, and Luke was handling that very well. I even had Christian in for a practice, attacking from the high guard position. And I spent every round that I did live with Luke, I did from a closed guard. We didn't do any open rounds.
Right.
Everything was from a closed guard, and and I'm trying to get and I have absolutely no success. And I just think so Luke ended up getting arm locked in the fight. After shedding off a couple of attempts, getting arm locked. Uh, Alex created an angle on the last arm lock, and Luke was unable to square it back up, and just a mistake in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing, like you're gonna make mistakes, right? And sometimes those mistakes might cost you the fight, right? Not always though, right? Like who fights mistake free?
No.
Like the whole fight, no one, right? Very rare, unless
unless
you came like Brian did,
right?
You know what I mean? But like it's like a quick,
exactly.
Like
unless it's Chimaev Holland,
yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just unfortunate when the mistake happens in a position that ends the fight.
Yeah, and I think it's really important too that you pointed out that like this is someone who's been training for essentially 7 months.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
7 months.
And like first of all, to be in that position after 7 months.
And the focus on jiu-jitsu came after August 2nd. Right? So it was like August 5th was the Monday, and we talked about it, and I believe that his new schedule for training started the following Monday, which would have been August 12th, I would assume. And, so like, and then we signed the fight, what had to be late September, So he really did 6 weeks of like dialing in on just jiu-jitsu before going back to like MMA style training. And he got really good. And I don't think that this mistake in this fight is representative of his skill level in jiu-jitsu.
And where he's going to be very soon.
Right? Dude, you can know the right thing to do. Like doesn't mean it's always gonna happen.
Dude,
right?
I had a fight once where this dude hit me with like 20 overhands. And at one point I was just watching them like slow motion. And I'm like, I should move. I just didn't.
Sometimes I think about that. So I had a guillotine incident in which I got guillotined, right? And then I was like a fly to the blue light on guillotines. I couldn't stop shooting into them. It was like the only thing I got to do is not shoot into this guillotine. And it was like the only thing I could do. Your banana peel theory, right? It's like when you play Mario Kart, go do your banana peel theory.
So this is what Mike and I call it, right? When we run into an issue like this, we go like, oh, the guillotine is your banana peel, or the arm bar is your banana peel, or whatever, right? And I'm sure you guys have all been playing Mario Kart at one point, and you see that banana coming up, it's coming up, and you're looking at it, like, don't hit it, and because you focus on it so much, it's almost like you can't not hit it, And so, yeah, he just had a banana peel moment, and which maybe that makes it sound like you're like slipping, but it's not. It's that the focus put you in a weird place,
right? Yeah, it's like, okay, like, don't let this angle happen. Don't let this angle happen to so much the point that you're almost like giving it a little bit.
It becomes
like,
a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Even that, like the thing is like, dude, this kid was really freaking good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And we focused on this particular portion for only a few weeks.
Yep.
Because, we watched the film. So for only the camp did we focus on this high guard portion of it. And he made tremendous progress throughout this entire thing. But like, how much progress are you going to make in a few weeks versus something that clearly this kid has been doing for a very long time and he's very skilled at?
Very, very
right?
skilled.
Like I train with people who I know what they're going to do to me, and I know the right answer, right? Like I know, we talked about that triangle, right? I know Alex is going to straighten my left arm. I know he's going to throw his left leg over my back, hook it in over my left shoulder, and I know he's going to come up towards that triangle, and he's going to have a straight arm lock. I'm going to have to rotate under to my right, and then he's going to have the back triangle on me. I know it, and it still happens, and I'm not slipping on the banana peel, right? I know the right thing to do, and it's just a timing thing. It's a timing thing here, and it's just like, yeah, he was able to do his technique in a more timely manner than I was able to create the counter that I know to it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's just part of it. That's part of the game, you know? Like, just because you know the right thing to do doesn't mean that you're always going to do it at the right time. Exactly. I know I need to keep my head up when I'm shooting head inside singles and I get the foot lifted off the ground. I know I need to keep my head up, right? Sometimes my head gets pushed down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, why didn't you keep your head up? You know that. You've been wrestling since you were 4. Well, like, dude, like sometimes your head's down, right? Like I want it up.
Yeah, I tried.
Trust me, I want it up. I just like, I slipped up there. And, Luke slipped up in this fight. I don't want to take anything away from Alex Rios, though. I think he's a tremendous fighter.
Yep.
And I think that's the kind of fight that, like, the fighter that Luke should be fighting, right? Like, he's very skilled, and he's on, like, an abbreviated schedule, right? Like, he's on, like, the fast track.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he took the loss pretty hard.
He did, and that makes sense to me because he is an extreme winner.
He's a national champion. He hasn't lost in a long time.
Yes.
Right? So he's like, dude, and like, I bet his whole identity is tied into it, which that's tough. You want to talk about your whole identity being tied into it? You want to be like, we talk about, oh, Mike, how are you coaching MMA fighters and you don't even know anything that's happening in the MMA community? Well, it's because my whole identity was tied to being a professional fighter, and then I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know what I mean? Like, so like I can understand like your identity being
Totally.
tied to it.
Totally.
And and like, did I overcome that? No, I still didn't overcome it because now my identity's tied to being a coach in it.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
All I did was like, it's like I went from one drug to another.
Yeah, dude.
That's all I did. Like, I didn't beat this obstacle. I just
Yeah.
was like, let's put a patch on it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, it's just a tough situation. He'll be back. He'll be better than ever.
Yep.
He's going to be a tremendous fighter. He's going to go pro. Like, he'll go pro in due time when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be a pro fighter, and he's going to make the big leagues, and that's
For
just all
sure.
there is to it.
For sure. It's just a matter of time, and this is part of that development time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah. So, and then we had Josh Fasoki, pro debut, came out hot.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Was fired up, ready to rock. His opponent, skilled, tall, long opponent, Nico. We know Nico. We've cornered with Nico, cornered Bronco with Nico,
Right.
In the corner as well. Nico's a really cool guy. I really like him.
Yep.
Watched a large majority of the CJI with him, which was pretty cool. Because he was from the area, so he had service where I did not have service.
Yeah, dude.
So he threw the CJI on him, which was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they come out, some hard shots thrown right away. They get into some wrestling exchanges, and then it's like a scramble fest back and forth. Nico applied a couple nice tight strangles on the Josh. Josh was able to work his way out and really battle through some tough positions.
Yeah.
And like, just like it was like basically like the Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd tumbleweed.
Yeah,
dude. Just like blah 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 blah. Between positions, coming up and on singles, down the bottom turtle, wrestling through anacondas and darces, and then eventually Nico did acquire the back and was able to apply the rear naked choke on the Josh. So dropped his pro debut. Records are for DJs. That's a saying that we've always heard Jonas say. Josh echoes it, and he'll be back in the cage, ready to crack some skulls in no time. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as he didn't hurt that left hand, brother, he's ready
dude,
to go.
it's no big deal. You know what I mean? Hey, Josh is someone who, in my opinion, loves to fight. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's an opinion. I think that's fact.
Yeah, loves to fight.
Yeah.
Like, I would say, like, like, for sure, like, I don't even know if Josh would admit this, but I bet you deep down this is true, that, like, if he was given two options, he was like, hey, you either don't get the fight or you get the fight, but you're gonna lose. I bet you he'd be like, I'm fighting.
We talk about that all the time. The quote from Sylvie: "Do you love to fight or do you love to win?"
Yeah,
he loves to fight.
He loves to fight. So, what I mean, he's probably already picked it back up. He's probably already ready for the next one. So, yeah, that's what I expect out of him.
Absolutely.
All right, so we just jumped off 2 funerals. Let's move back to a wedding.
Let's.
Main event, we got Steel City, Lucas Siebert.
Hold on. Are we going Steel City Lucas Siebert or is it Lucas Steel City Siebert? I feel
think
like
it's
Lucas
Steel
Steel City sounds better. Because then we get that like alliteration.
I'm going to let him decide. I don't care. Either way, I'm trying to think.
I like Lucas
I was
Steel
Iron City Mike Wilkins. So I feel like he was Steel City Lucas Siebert.
Yeah.
But Lucas Steel City Siebert does sound pretty smooth.
Does
whereas
alliteration...
Mike Iron City Wilkins did not.
Now, does Steel City Siebert count as alliteration, even though same sound,
Steel
but it's a
City
C
Siebert.
instead of an S?
I don't know if it counts as an alliteration, being that city is a C. Like, does it actually
is it
have
phonetic
to be the letter,
or is it the
phonetic?
letter?
Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, but here goes the thing. So I was Iron City Mike Wilkins because it's like a thing to Iron Mike.
Right.
Right? Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Iron City Mike Wilkins, and I got the Iron City because I was drinking.
Yeah.
Dom Mazzata gave it to me. He's like, man, you drink all fight camp. Which if I would redo it, I would not do it. But young and dumb. Yeah.
That we were.
That we were. So there's that. But whatever. So let's get into his fight, though.
Yeah.
So he fights Eddie Alvarez, which is crazy, fighting a former UFC champ, former Bellator champ. No, I'm just kidding. Different Eddie Alvarez.
If we kept that going, I was going to be like bully beatdown vet.
I was thinking about before the Because like obviously I know we're gonna talk about the fight. I was thinking about like pretending like I was surprised that it wasn't that heavy. I was like, I was prepared for this, but
Yeah, that's
yeah,
hilarious. Anyways, yeah, so he's fighting a guy named Eddie Alvarez, who was what 4-9, I believe. He had a lot of fights.
yeah. 4-9, 13 professional fights. I'm sure he had a litany of amateur fights as well.
Brown
So
belt.
brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Just like a vet, been around the block. You look at like Lucas has had 2 fights versus this guy's 13. Like that's a dramatic difference in fights. This fight was like there was a large portion of striking done in this fight, so I'm gonna let you like
Yeah, yeah.
run that.
So I'm not really gonna go round by round. I'm just gonna give kind of an overview. So basically, what happened is Lucas is doing a decent job of getting certain positions that we looked for. And he's doing a good job of landing a lot of the strikes that we had wanted him to land. For example, we wanted him landing that calf kick. He did a good job of landing that. We did practice some of those flying knees, some of the context of when it happened and how much it happened. There's some things we're going to adjust there, but he did a pretty good job with that. There were some kicks that we wanted him to land. Really, what we saw from Alvarez was good pressure. You know what I mean? Good punching and combinations, and just really just staying in there and not being phased by a lot of the kind of like weird stuff or the exotic techniques that Lucas was showing, and pretty solid grappling defense for the most part, I would say. But I'll obviously let you dive into that a little bit more. I
Yeah.
would say that Lucas probably edged out the striking in the first round. I think he definitely did in the second round, and until the finish in the third, I would say he was handily winning that as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So some credit that I'll give to Lucas is as you guys hear time and time again, incredibly coachable.
Yes.
Not just in the room, but mid fight. Like you hear it every fight with him. But like, dude, like straight up like strategizing between rounds.
Yes.
Like to the point where we're in there and I'm like, hey, at the 3 minute mark, I'm asking him if he wants to do it too,
Right.
right? Like, if I'm asking, that means I want it.
Right, but it's a
But like,
collaborative
it's a
thing,
collaborative
yeah.
effort, and I'm like, I think at the 3 minute mark, I want you to put him down, right? And it's like, oh, it's like gives you more
Right.
time to work on top. All of his takedowns this was his best takedowns.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just like clean through full finishes, right? No like getting to the leg and stopping, shooting at the proper level. He was hitting his knee, but the caveat here, as we spoke earlier in the podcast, you don't hit your knee in MMA because it's a more upright stance and the shoulder needs to align up with the hip. And if you hit your knee, your shoulder's going to be too low, right? That was not the case in this fight.
Yeah.
Lucas was significantly taller than his opponent,
Yes.
so when he hit his knee, it aligned the shoulder
It
with
made
the hip.
sense.
Very
Yeah.
much so. Yeah, great finishes on that. Had some really good control from the top turtle position, which got better through the fight.
Yes.
Right? First takedown, opponent turtled up and got up, sooner than he did every ensuing time. Lucas eventually, literally, like straight up
Broke him down.
mid corner talk, right? Like in between the second and third round, I'm like, hey, this time when you take him down, you throw that near side hook in, right? We want to get the far side hook in as well, so we're not just hanging there. Go across body power half, pull the elbow out to open the window, throw the far side hook in. We want to flatten him out, all right? Well, then we'll pop the head off from there, either that or they start rolling back and forth between mount and back. And that's exactly how the fight finished.
Yep.
He gets the takedown midway through the third at the halfway mark. Near side hook takes the cage away from his opponent. Power half, far side hook, puts him down, is going between rear naked chokes. His opponent is bailing the mount to get out. Ground and pound, elbows, and eventually finishes the fight with belly down back control,
Yep.
TKO.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like, it's a good fight, followed through, like
Got the finish.
got the finish, got the win, got things to work on.
That's what I was about to say. Another one of those fights where it's like, hey, we got the win, and now I have a ton of data, and I'm like, listen, this is what we're working on. And I know, I mentioned a little bit to Lucas, and you and I are going to sit down and have a talk with him soon. But like, I have very specific things that we're going to work on. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to give it away on the pod and tell him. But
You don't want to pull my trick and like tell somebody their life's plan on the podcast.
Nah, because one I already told
That's how
him.
we get listeners, dude. That's how I get these fighters to listen to our podcast.
Well, one I already told him.
They rack up our they rack up our listen views because I know they're listening because they got to figure out what because I won't talk to them outside.
But also, I don't just want to give too much away about like what it is we're gonna be. What he's going to look like coming out next time. It's going to be very different.
Yeah, it's going to be very different.
And he's another one of those fighters where, like, you and I discussed this earlier, where it's like kind of what you said about Brian, where it's like, hey, man, like, most guys I'd be like, yeah, enjoy it, you killed it. And this one, like, nah, there's going to be more. Kind of the same thing with Lucas. Like, other fighters, I'd be like, oh, great fight, you got the finish and everything. But, like, knowing where Lucas
is going to be
and what he's capable of, I'm like, it was okay.
Yeah, that's cool. I like
I'm
that.
obviously very proud of it and, like, great fight and everything. But just
you got to remember, he's 8 fights deep into his career.
That's the other thing.
He had a short amateur career. He had half an amateur career is what I had. I had 10 amateur fights. He had 5.
Also the timeline. He's been doing this for, what, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years and 3 months.
Yeah.
And he's 3-0 as a pro.
Yeah.
When I was 2 years and 3 months in, I was an amateur fighter.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, he's on an expedited timeline as well. And he's young. He's 24. You know, but he's got a plan in his head, and he's going through with it, and it's it's a good plan, and he can learn, and he's skilled, and he's got the intangibles, and everything's going well there. And then he'll see a step up in competition in his next fight, which he has seen in each fight, a step up in competition, right?
Absolutely.
Like you could compare debut Jake Zach to Nathan Grubham, like comparable, except the bigger version because he went up a weight for that. And dude, Nathan Grubham.
I also think Grubham's
nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think he's a better grappler. I think he's not that.
The only other things that I would say about this fight is like I didn't get to play. Like you had the controller the whole fight. I was talking to Lucas about it this morning, right? It's like we're playing a video game. When we corner, we're playing a video game, right? And it's like imagine like it's you and your brother and you're playing like PlayStation, da da da. If you're older, you'll know like their corded controller and stuff. A one-person game. You're playing like Grand Theft Auto. Or when's it my turn? When's it my turn? Yeah. And like this was Will's turn. He was playing. He had the controller the whole game, and I was like, this is bullshit, dude. Like, give me the sticks.
Hey man, get used to it because he's a striker.
No, he's not, dude. Because look at last fight. Look at the Grubham fight. I had the controller the whole fight.
I know, but just go ask Lucas. Are you a striker or grappler? He's a striker.
All right. Well, you know what? It's weird because both his finishes are from ground and pound, which that's on the ground, which is inherently grapple.
Yeah, we're gonna have to fix that.
Yeah, whatever, dude. All right, that's cool. So good stuff there. Anything else to say about that night?
No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That did not end my night.
Funsies. I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. So call back to UFC 308. That was the first Ilia Topuria fight that I watched bell to bell that I can remember. I probably maybe have seen one here and there. I went home. I got home probably like 11 p.m. I got on UFC Fight Pass and I watched 7 Ilia Topuria fights. So on UFC Fight Pass, they have 8 of his fights available, right? He has now had 8 UFC fights after this Max fight. But he fought in Cage Warriors.
I think so, yeah.
Which is on UFC Fight Pass. So that fight's on there. So I watched his Cage Warriors fight, and that was his 6th pro fight, so he ended up going 6-0 during that fight. And then he fought 2 more fights in Brave. And then he made his UFC debut. So I watched that Cage Warriors fight, and then I watched his UFC debut all the way up until I watched the Josh Emmett fight. So the only fights I didn't watch of his that night was the Alex Volk fight, and I had watched the Max fight earlier that day.
Right, yeah.
So, yeah, that was it. And the Max fight's not up yet because it's still on pay-per-view period, so it won't be available on Fight Pass.
So you'd watch that one earlier than that in the day.
Yeah. But yeah, and I just like couldn't believe, like I'm just so impressed. I am definitely a big fan of him as a fighter, and back to what you were saying, dude, he's a better grappler than he is a striker.
Which is crazy.
It's like he started knocking people out, and he was like, let's just do this.
Yeah. He's like, wait, you mean I don't have to waste all this energy on takedowns?
Dude, his grappling and his takedowns are just phenomenal. So I do recommend people to go ahead and take a look back at some of those earlier fights. And like, dude, I mean, like you could just kill 3 hours just running down his career, and it was fun.
For sure.
Yep. All right. We got a UFC fight night coming up this weekend. We're not going to break it down at all.
But before we get into that, dude, I'm about to fucking piss myself.
Okay.
We're going to come back.
Nope. That's it for today.
Dude.
We'll see you guys next time.